And now I'd like to open the meeting to the sharing of testimonies of healing through Christian Science. Tom from Iowa, go ahead.
I'm grateful to God and to the lesson sermons that this church produces that we have to read and study. I'm also grateful for practitioner support that's helped me. Thank you.
Thank you. Donna from Oregon, go ahead.
A short time ago, my practitioner suggested I read something from Bicknell Young's book, Collected Writings, titled Oneness. It starts on page 114. It explains very clearly how we are one with God. Mr. Young says, God expressed is man, and man is therefore the body of God. I am extremely grateful to my practitioner for guiding me to this information that she knows will help me in my understanding. It's helped me a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Chardell from Pennsylvania, go ahead.
Oh, thank you for this beautiful service. Tonight I would like to give thanks for practitioner help, our Bible studies, and the understanding that people gain and share from these studies. Not too long ago, I made someone quite angry when I made a mistake. I started to pray, and while driving home, I remembered what Tom Richards said about David in the Bible when he made a mistake and his men wanted to kill him. David turned to God, only God, and got his answer right away. So I turned to God and asked for help. It came to me right then to ask for forgiveness for my mistake and to carry on. I texted the person and waited quietly. A response came back very quickly, saying they were sorry for their angry reaction. Harmony was restored, and we went on with our plans. Thank you, Plainfield, for new understanding in how to live with our loved ones under God's direction and dominion. One mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda from Pennsylvania, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for those comforting readings and the beautiful music tonight. I am very grateful for all that I'm learning here, that is taught here on how to pray effectively through an understanding of the Bible and Mary Baker Eddy's writings. All my life, I felt a victim to the world around me. Recently, I had an affirming experience that showed me that we don't have to live this way. In an article attributed to Mary Baker Eddy found at this website called Place, we read, quote, "You cannot change environment. We can only change our sense of environment. And we can never do this in any way but through elevation of our own thoughts about things. God is the only environment. We have to clear our vision, sweep away the rubbish of fear, impatience, and false estimates of our fellow man, and know that the one mind shines through all and governs all." End quote. At work, I needed to spend some time with what we would call an aggressive bully. For many years, the supervisor has made every employee feel like they are on pins and needles, which often led to tears or them leaving. Years ago, this was true for me, but I had transferred to another department. Recently, I was asked to go back and work with her for a little bit. The difference this time is I have been participating here at Plainfield and working with a Plainfield practitioner who has been helping me heal the past and let go of a sense of victimhood. I have been memorizing the 91st Psalm, which I turn to often. I had a chance to talk with a practitioner before any interaction with this woman. During the afternoon, I had to interrupt this supervisor a couple of times with questions, but without incident. But at the end of the day, I was ambushed by her disapproval and challenged regarding a decision I had made earlier that day. I know because of the prayers that I remained calm, and I felt a conviction that God was in control. Suddenly, in the middle of her criticism, it became clear that I had made the right decision. So she stopped midway and returned things to how they had been before she started her tirade. She became calm, and we started to share a normal conversation. Then she thanked me for my work when I left. This has never happened in all the years that I have ever worked for her, so it showed the power of prayer. This was a very good lesson that I learned that I must change my consciousness if I wish to change the conditions around me, and that I do not have to be a victim. Thank you, Plainfield, and good night.
Thank you. Jim from Arizona, go ahead.
Good evening. I am most grateful for our wash sessions held during the week. I try never to miss one of the watches. Mrs. Eddy placed the watches in her home as an essential item in the activities designed to further Christian Science. And can we do less? I am most grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike from New York, go ahead.
Thank you very much for the beautiful readings and the beautiful service. Studied and read a lot on Christian Science over probably 10 to 15 years before coming to Plainfield, and learned a lot of things that kept me inspired and helpful, and were very helpful at many times in that time frame. But this past weekend, Bible study and roundtable was just a proof of how wonderful Plainfield is, because it was another example of taking things that I had read in the past, making sense of them, so now that it's a practical, usable tool for me. Thank you so much for God, Christ Jesus, Mary Baker Eddy, the practitioners at Plainfield, all the members at Plainfield that are helping me understand Christian Science better. I am so grateful.
Thank you. Benjamin.
Thank you. I will first of all thank Philly for the reading tonight. It really, really touched my heart, the story of David. Just gonna profess, Mrs. said I will not be putting accurately, but she said in Science and Health that desire is a prayer. So if we trust God with our desire, He will bring it to pass. Just paraphrase, I'm not sure if I'm absolute. This morning I knew I would be far away from home, and I wasn't sure when I was gonna make it back this evening. But I desire above everything today to be here tonight. And I know how difficult it was gonna be, but it was in my mind all day that God will bring me back in time to be able to attend the service. And my driving was very more harmonious than I've ever had before. The road was so clear, like it was made for me to drive through. And I was amazed with the small amount of time that I have that I was able to get home in time and be here in time. And I'm very convinced that it wasn't my own doing, that it was God who have granted that desire to me. And coming here tonight and having the opportunity to listen to the reading this evening was the greatest blessing I ever had today, and I'm very, very grateful to God for this opportunity and making His way for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Dede from Georgia, go ahead.
Thank you. Last week, a coworker of mine had a birthday, and though I don't know her very well yet, I had the thought to get her something. I'd heard her speak briefly about various issues that she's experienced or is still experiencing, and as her birthday was approaching, I began to get the mental suggestion that maybe I didn't need to or that I shouldn't get her anything, although I wasn't completely convinced not to. I ended up giving her a small journal which includes a different Bible quote on each page. She joyfully expressed gratitude for the gift several times and let me know that it was just what she needed. I'm so grateful to be learning to be more obedient to what the still small voice is telling me, and to be able to better hear it over the negative noise that tries to drown it out, to deter me from following God's direction. I've learned to love the Bible since coming to this church, and I've realized that a simple Bible quote is sometimes all that I need to get through the day or a challenging experience. As last Sunday's solo mentioned, people need the Lord, and I'm thankful for the many ways in which we're learning to share His love with all in order to meet the individual needs. Thank you so much for this service, for all the testimonies and the reading.
Thank you. Jeremy.
Tonight, I am very grateful for all the readings that are offered by this church. Each one has helped me to get more from the writings of Mary Baker Eddy and the early workers than simply reading the text has. I'm so grateful to this church and to the members who have devoted their time to doing these readings. I was thinking about how I've been blessed so much and what to share about it, and there's just too much to recount it all, so I'm just going to share one thing. The recent reading is of Oneness by Bicknell Young, read by Gary Singletary. And this talks about how we're not separate from God. And it really hammers this point home in a way that made a lot of sense to me. And I used to feel so separate from God and from goodness. But after the past few years being a member of this church, along with daily practitioner support, I now feel like I belong to something wonderful. Christian Science and this church has been the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Gary.
I'm grateful to be learning that God really does take great care of us, and also learning to listen to Him and be obedient to Him and let Him take care of me. I recently I went on a business trip to a city about 3-hour plane ride from here. And in preparing for the trip, I asked to have meetings scheduled on a Monday and a Tuesday and a Wednesday morning, but early enough that I would be able to fly home for the Wednesday service. So I made my travel plans, and initially I was a little concerned flying Sunday afternoon. I was a little concerned about having enough time to do the things I needed to do after church and still get to the airport on time for my Sunday afternoon flight. Well, a few days before the trip was supposed to take place, I got a note from the airline saying that one of the security lines at the airport was going to be closed for maintenance, and that everybody needed to get to the airport much sooner than they otherwise would because there would be fewer security lines to go through. Well, at that point I became very concerned about being able to get to the airport on time after doing the things after church that I really needed to do. Well, as I prayed to God to ask Him, is this something I should do something about? The answer came, no, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. So I felt peaceful, calm, and I didn't change any plans. I did what I needed to do after church that Sunday without feeling hassled or pushed or anxious. And when I got to the airport, went into the security line, the first one I came to, there were about 2 people in line. It took me 5 minutes to get through security. I couldn't believe it. And it left me with plenty of time to rest before my flight. And coming home, the same thing happened. The flight coming home was right on time, got me here in plenty of time for the service Wednesday. So I'm so grateful to see God at work, taking care of me, taking care of us as we are obedient to God and let Him take care of us. I'm so grateful for what I'm learning about Christian Science here in this church, and for Mary Baker Eddy for giving us this tremendous science and way of life. And thank you for the readings tonight. They were very good.
Thank you. Janet from Georgia, go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks so much for the readings tonight. They were absolutely beautiful. And I just want to give gratitude for the ability to attend this service and all the activities that are offered here at Plainfield. I'd also like to thank you for the lovely photos that accompany all of the articles on the webpage. They're just absolutely beautiful. And I'd like to thank the practitioner I'm working with. She's like an angel to me. And for all her help and for all the dedicated work that she and the practitioners of Plainfield do for us to help guide us along the way. I honestly don't know where I would be without her. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jeff.
I'm the father of twins, and that's a double blessing. Now that they're teenagers, 17 years old, with independent minds of their own, it may be a double blessing, but sometimes a teenage daughter can be a real challenge for mom and dad. She's in high school, her senior year, and she's fallen head over heels in love with a boy. We're in the middle of college selections, and she's been admitted to a few good ones, when guess what happens next? She gets a contract in New York City from one of the top modeling agencies and decides to take a gap year from college. And instead of take a year off so she can live in New York and save up lots of money for modeling jobs, well, her grades were A's but they started to slip down to C's. When we brought it to her attention, she says it doesn't really matter, Dad, because she's not going to college next year anyway. She's going to be doing the modeling. And worse than that, my daughter was beginning to use me to get a yes when her mother gave her a no. And you know how that ends up when the kids try to divide and conquer their parents. Well, folks, in my difficulties and sleepless nights, I turned to God, as I've learned to do here. I started to pray long and hard about this. I shared it with my practitioner and prayed long and hard for about a week. And I got an answer. Boy, does the Lord work in strange ways, His wonders to perform, they say. The top New York modeling agency asked to meet with my daughter one last time before finalizing the contract. They decided not to sign her. So I saw this as a blessing in disguise, because now she has to work hard to keep her grades up senior year, or the colleges, they can rescind their offers and scholarships, just like the agency job went away. And the good news is my prayers were answered. And that's a big, big healing. And I have only God to thank, and Plainfield Christian Science Church and my practitioner, in helping me to know the Word of God better and to learn to love the one God supremely. Oh, and by the way, I'm sleeping a lot better too.
Thank you. Karen from Kansas, go ahead.
This morning it was so cold and I just wanted to go back to sleep. I kept saying over and over that God is my strength. I also like to say first thing when I get up that this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I got up and did my chores and then did my lesson sermon. I am so thankful to belong to this church. I love the testimonies, and I want to thank my Christian Science practitioner. She is an angel, like somebody said, and thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. Yeah, this is Bruce, and I had a blessing today that I'm very thankful for. It didn't look like it was going to be a blessing at first. And I had a chance where I had a scheduled meeting to attend, and I went there. And the other party was late and getting later. I was sitting there waiting. And I remembered that there was a testimony given in this church many years ago by a practitioner who was here, who said that there was a time when he was stuck in traffic and things were going very slow, and instead of being aggravated or upset, in fact, there was a lot of traffic congestion, he just decided he was going to thank God that he had this time to commune with him. So with that example that I remembered, I decided I was going to do the same thing. Instead of getting a little anxious or upset because somebody else was late and has taken my time, I thought, this time is God's time. And this is really a blessing. And it gave me a chance to spend some time just sitting quietly and praying to Him and giving Him thanks. And not only that, I asked Him to bless this meeting. I asked Him to take my mouth and use it, and to put His words in my mouth. Not only that, to put His feelings into my heart, which was the feelings of love and good and only things like that. Well, shortly after I finished that prayer, this gentleman showed up, and we had the best meeting. And went back to his office afterwards, and there again continued on. We had the most productive time. So I was just thanking God. What looked like was somebody was being late, but was not really, but rather God's provision for me to have a little time with Him. And when that happened, things went so well thereafter. So I'm thankful for our good God and His blessings. Florence from Georgia, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the readings, very heartwarming, and the testimonies. Tonight I'd like to give gratitude, great gratitude for Christian Science and how it is being explained in this church so that it can help those who are led here. It shows that when God gives an idea, He also has how it should be shared. And I'm so grateful that Jeremy listened when the thought came or the idea came for our work here to be put on the internet through the different channels. It's amazing what is happening because we get calls from all over the world. And recently the calls that have come from Europe as well as many parts of this country show that people are searching. They're searching for a deeper understanding of God and that love that calms their fears. Everyone needs this love. And I'm so grateful that we have something here that is blessing those who are led here. people are so surprised that only a few people are putting all this work out. But then I feel that that confirms for them that it is God working through this church. I am so grateful that everyone here is contributing with their talents and whatever God has given them to do to make this work worthwhile. The calls that come sounds like a call from mankind, those who are in fear, those who are suffering from all kinds of false claims. And I'm so grateful to be a part of something great going on that is answering most of people's need. I'm grateful to be here tonight.
Thank you. Mary.
I'll read from our church bulletin board website. First from New Jersey. Thank you so much for posting the hymn, How Great Thou Art, on the homepage carousel. Jim played it so beautifully at last week's service. And then Virginia. Many thanks for the lovely Wednesday evening meeting, February 1st. Every word of the readings and testimonies are of such benefit, which I am carrying with me. While traveling this week, I've been studying the article Hints on Healing by Reverend Mason, a gift from this church. What a joy it is to hold in thought that all are safe in the ark, in divine mind, where mortal thought cannot find them. And Georgia, this Sunday's solo was excellent. The message was expressed so beautifully. People need the Lord. I'm glad that I've come to know through Christian Science that this is the truth about everyone, everywhere, and it is the need for every day. I'm so grateful to God for the Plainfield Church, which brings us closer to our Lord, with the understanding needed to bring others closer as we are directed. Much love and gratitude for all. In Pennsylvania, I wish to thank everyone who reads and is responsible for making available our lesson sermons for all to listen to. The recording of the lesson can be found on our website under weekly lessons. For whatever reason you need to listen instead of reading, you will find this to be a great blessing to all, and I am most grateful. Too, I'm very grateful for this night's service. Those readings were just beautiful, beautifully put together and beautifully read. God's tender, loving kindness for every one of his children. And thank you, too, for the testimonies and the beautiful music. In the lesson this week in Isaiah is the verse, "In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength." In Collectania, in referring to that statement, that verse, Mrs. Eddy tells us that we need to study to be quiet. I thought that was so interesting, to study to be quiet. And of course, quiet is to be still, free from the claim of disturbance. And in thinking about that and thinking the way that I once was, it was very hard for me to quiet my thought. Even at times when I would be reading my lesson, all these other things would be racing through my mind, maybe things I had to do or things I was worried about. So that thought to study, to be quiet, to just be still and listen. Very often in praying to God, we might do a lot of talking ourselves, and yet really what we should be doing is listening. Quiet the human thought, the agitated thought, and just get yourself in a quiet place to listen, to hear God's voice, and mainly to feel his presence, his tender, loving kindness, as was read tonight, to feel it and to be receptive to it, because in truth, that is what we need every moment of every day, is to feel that presence of God. So I'm grateful for this from Mrs. Eddy, to study to be quiet, to quiet our thought, to keep ourselves poised in the truth. I'm so grateful for all the healings I've had in Christian Science. I'm grateful to be a member here and to be with everyone tonight.
Thank you.